I'm Raven.
And I'm Ahmaad.
And we're the Hoods. Welcome to Hood Tales, where we take you through the ups, downs, and merry-go-rounds of millennial marriage. Today we're going to be talking about all the things that we wish we knew before getting married. And I don't know if the list is crazy long, not long enough, or what, or just perfect, to be honest.
I mean, if you think about it long enough, you can find more and more stuff that adds to the list, you know?
Yeah, you're not wrong. Because I feel like hindsight is 20/20.
For sure.
So we are now in year 4 of our marriage. And I feel like as we continue on, like, the things I wish I knew keep growing. But I don't think that's because there are so many things that we're not going to find out until we live through them.
Exactly.
So I think that's why I feel like the list keeps growing. Because until things arise, we don't know that we wish we knew that we knew them.
But I guess that's also a good thing, because when there are things that are arising and you wish you knew those things, you are now in a place of growth to where you can say, man, I wish I knew that beforehand. You know
very true. Very, very true. I feel like one of the best things to even, before we get to what we wish we knew, I think that for a lot of people, not particularly with us, but I feel like where a lot of people fail in the era of what they wish they knew before marriage is the prep before you get to being married. Because even in that, like, I feel like a lot of people don't do premarital counseling.
They don't.
And I feel like a lot of people do not have the necessary conversations that lead to major problems later on. Because we had discussions, one, about marriage. And I feel like the earlier the better. Like, I know people be like, you know, you don't be asking people if they want to marry you on the first date. And that's not what I'm saying. But when you all have decided to date with intention, like, there, one, should be, okay, a conversation before an engagement happens.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a repetitive conversation.
Totally.
That, you know, this is where we're heading. This is where I see, like, you know, I see a future like that with you.
Make sure y'all on the same page.
Yeah,
equally,
you know.
For my church people.
But I feel like that, I want to say that goes without saying, but, like, you know, you just never know.
It doesn't, though.
But in that, like, having discussions, you know, about marriage, what you want, parenting styles, like, you know, there are a lot of people, we're in the age of gentle parenting, right? So, like, a lot of people are no longer beating on their kids. You know, and I don't mean beaten by abuse. I'm just talking in the traditional black sense of what is it? Spare the rod.
Sport child.
That's what it is. Thank you. You know, but
a lot
even that.
Sparing the rod.
No, a lot of people not sparing the rod right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so even having that discussion of if that's something that you want to do, or you know, expectations, household rules, or household chores, like what does that look like? How many kids? You know,
do you want kids?
Do you want kids? Sex. How often realistically do you want to have sex? And what does that look like? You know, what are you willing to explore, or, you know, and that's gonna change over time. But like, I feel like people don't have those conversations. Like, you know, it's a running joke on the internet of, like, having a conversation of what temperature do you like the thermostat to be set at.
Yeah.
But, like,
that's real deal.
It is, though.
Because that will definitely cause an argument.
Yeah, it's like, that's a serious thing. Not even just an argument. Like, that could be a daily annoyance.
Yes.
You know, like, your presence daily annoys me because of this one little thing. But this is important stuff to know before you get married. Like, is this something I'm willing to, like, deal with? Even with premarital counseling, like, we did it with our church at the time. But even, like, going to a professional counselor, which can happen before you even get to the engaged portion. And I just saw somebody on Twitter saying that they went to therapy, or that, they were in therapy with their partner right now before they're even engaged. And I was just like,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, like, you know, I totally respect that, and, like, think that that's kind of genius.
It's very genius.
Actually, to do that before you even really get engaged, because I feel like it even helps you determine if that's something that you even want to do.
With this person?
Yeah, with that person. Also, one of the big ways that I feel like we really prepped was podcasts. I am a podcast junkie.
For sure. She put me on all the podcasts.
But specifically a marriage and relationship podcast junkie. Because it was the easiest way for me to, like, you know, hear from, not even experts, but hear from what things have gone through. Just like y'all tune in to listen to us. But like, we are an example.
Yes.
Of a resource. We listened to the Love Hour with Kevin and Melissa Fredericks. Thank you. I don't know why I was blanking, and I'm seeing their faces in my head.
Yeah.
With Kevin and Melissa Fredericks, I am an Esther Perel stan.
Yeah. That's
okay.
Stuff,
I am a fangirl, but even just her podcast, her books, her talks, all of that. What other podcasts I listen to? Oh, Is This Gonna Cause an Argument with Angel and Marcus Tanksley. Those are the main ones. But like, even just hearing from, you know, the experts that they have on there and the guests and all of that, like, it's a conversation starter. It gives you something to think about and talk about before, you know, you get married. Like, it gives you words that you may not have had before. TV shows as well. Like, I am a big thing of like leaning on the internet for the space that we're in. Like Black Love Doc.
Oh, it's the best.
It's amazing. Like, they have, even just listening to people's stories, right? Which is really what podcasts are as well. But like listening to what people have to say and their insight and the things that they've gone through on specific topics. Because Black Love Doc has pretty much everything covered. Like, just hearing how they got through stuff, it gives you, like, it brings back memories, you know, like, as things can come up later on in life. Married at First Sight is another TV show, and I know that y'all probably like, girl, that's reality TV. Yes,
very much
I know
so,
this.
Reality TV.
However, Married at First Sight still weekly for us is still a conversation starter. Yes. It is still a thing that we look at and be like, that is crazy. But when we're also looking at it with the eyes of being married for 4 years now, but it's the eye of, if you are looking to get married, Married at First Sight is a great example of people that are not prepared in real time.
Yes. And
or how even when you think you are prepared, you never really are.
Because it's still
right. So we're listing all of this preparation, but like, even having all these tools, life is crazy. You know, people can still blindside you, and curveballs can come out of anywhere. But even in that show, the whole how quickly they, you know, go on the honeymoon, how quickly they move in together, real time, you know, real life.
Yeah.
But you know, you're not usually marrying a stranger, but even in the arguments that come up and learning the things about the other person that truthfully you never really find out until you all are cohabitating in the same space, which
very
is
much so.
Usually after you have gotten married.
Yeah.
Also Put a Ring on It, which I know another reality TV show, y'all, but even in that, those, if you don't know what Put a Ring on It is, these, I should explain Married at First Sight, but I feel like that perfectly
it's in the title. Mm-hmm.
But Put a Ring on It is couples where one person is ready to get married and take the next leap. The other person is kind of like dragging their feet, and it's not usually the same partner, so it's not usually just like the male is dragging their feet and the woman is ready. I have seen that where it's completely opposite multiple times. So there's that. But they go and they meet up with this therapist, Dr. Nicole something, I think. And she essentially like takes them through the process of really deciding if they're ready to get married. There's a period in there where like she has them date other people, where they can like continue to date this person or like cut it off with their with their person. There's like different exercises, and she therapizes them individually and then collectively as a whole. And it is a perfect example of like really making sure that you're ready, and deciding if you are ready to live with that person for the rest of your life if they never change. If they never change. It is a perfect example of that. And it's also just a good guilty reality TV.
It is.
Another way that you can really prep that I feel like we kind of didn't really do until after we were gotten married was family inclusion.
Definitely.
It was not really like, we were around each other's families as individuals, but we didn't get our family together until after we had gotten engaged.
After we got engaged?
I think.
Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got them together that, like, I don't want to say that summer. I don't really remember. But I know we did that first Christmas. I think.
So.
I think my siblings came over later that Christmas night.
Definitely.
They weren't there originally. Yeah, they weren't there at the beginning, but they did come over that night.
I fully remember.
Yeah. But we didn't do that until we got engaged, which is also, you know, okay. Like, I don't think that's a problem.
Not at all.
But family inclusion as well, because as much as people believe that you're only just marrying your partner, you are also marrying their family.
Yeah.
Especially if their family is important to them and that's a core value and they are an integral part of each other's lives. You're not just marrying yourself. And also, when you marry your partner, you're marrying all of their family's problems because they are also their family. So family inclusion. Family inclusion, and I feel like it also gives your family another chance to, you know, point out any red flags if need be, and, you know, even just become comfortable with the person that you're courting and getting ready to marry as a whole, which is important.
Definitely.
So what do you wish you knew before you got married?
My biggest thing that I wish I knew before I got married that would have helped me so early on, that being a husband in marriage is more than just providing. I talk to men on a daily at this point, you know, about getting married, how we got married, how is marriage, you know, is it really what they say it is? You know, is it just like a ball and chain type of thing? Do you get to be an individual? You know, all of that. Like, do you still get to go out with the boys? You got to ask her for this, that, and the third, you know, for you to be out, for y'all to have sex, like, you know, all of that, you know. But it's more for, you know, for me, finding out that it's more than just providing, you know, it's protecting. It's being the priest of your household. It's about, you know, having that safe space, you know, for your marriage, not just for your wife, but also for yourself. You know, it's about speaking up about how you feel and what you need, because that betters your marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is so much more than just this one thing. Don't get me wrong. The money aspect matters, okay? It matters, because a lot of women always say, you know, I don't want to date no broke boy. But at the end of the day, I hope, you know, that y'all don't want to be no broke boy either.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to have some money for me while also having money for her. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you do got money. You're a broke boy.
I ain't a broke boy. But, you know, but still, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you be getting the large popcorn, Quincy. He got money, okay? you be getting the large combo, the large popcorn with the 2 drinks and a candy.
That I do every time.
Period. And the IMAX tickets.
$12.
I didn't really.
$12.50 something.
I ain't bought no movie ticket. Now
you wouldn't know.
I'm sorry. Back to your
like, you know, it's truly more than just providing. Now, if you got that providing aspect down, great. Move on to something else.
Do you feel like that's important to start with?
It does not have to. You don't have to start with that, but I definitely feel like it's something that you should definitely have on track. I will say that.
Okay.
Because the one thing that most women go on at the end of the day is security. Yeah. And that definitely is financial as well as physical. You can learn how to fight. I mean, you can also get a job too, but you get what I'm saying.
Do they?
I hope you get what I'm saying. Yeah, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to start with, you know, money. You can. It can definitely be spiritual. You know, it could definitely be emotional. But yeah, most men always put emphasis on providing because that's what most That's what, you know, it's so...
Society and everything else.
Exactly. It's all talked about all the time. My husband this, my husband that, my man this, my man that, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more than just that. And for me being a barber and talking to men day in, day out, that's what they talk about the most. That's their biggest gripe and complaint, because I'm going out and I'm providing and I'm bringing the money home, allowing you to cut it whichever way it's supposed to be cut, how it's supposed to be cut. You know, they're upset because women are requiring more than just providing. And I'm telling you, it is more than just providing. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to grow in other areas, grow emotionally, grow spiritually. Some of y'all might want to grow physically. I'll be going into the gym, okay? You know
Ahmaad, you went to the gym one time.
She always got to bring
Now I be going to the gym.
I'll be going to the gym.
You know what?
I go in the parking lot and scroll on Twitter. But seriously, you know, you want to develop in these other areas that's going to make it better for your marriage.
Yeah, I understand that, because marriage, at the end of the day, money is not going to keep us together.
Not at all.
Having it or the lack thereof. So I fully understand that. Did you want to mention you have a lot of self-work on here?
Oh.
And the feelings on your matter?
Oh, man.
This is why I asked you first.
Definitely. I also didn't look down. I was just...
I know, but this is also why I asked you first. So I knew.
What I also wish I knew before I got married was the fact that my feelings matter and my happiness matters. You know, most people always say, happy wife, happy life. And I know people who stand by it. And you know what, to be honest, if that works for you, it does. You know, to be real, I've tried it. You know, to be at my wife's every beck and call, to try and be everything that I think she wants a husband to be. When really you should also just ask what she wants from her husband. You know what I'm saying? Like, that will save you so much time, headache, and heartache. What are the expectations so that I can meet them if I can?
So how did you find out that your feelings and your happiness matters?
Because we've been in situations where I've held back on saying something that I felt like I needed to say. Like, if you do something that gets on my nerves, and then, you know, I bring it up 3 weeks later, you're like, my man's, I'm well past that. Like, get out of here. Why didn't you say something in the moment? And then you have to reiterate to me, and she's had to do this on multiple occasions, that how you feel matters. Don't just go around holding that in, feeling like, you know, you just want to holding on to that, you know, for the sake of not causing an argument. I get why men do it. Oh man, I understand. But also at the same time, for one, you're hurting yourself, but you're also hurting your partner, because that lesson that you are holding on to with your feelings is something that they need, because they could be doing that in every other area of their life with different relationships, and they're not learning that lesson because you holding on to it. So, yeah, your feelings matter. And your happiness matter. You know, also your happiness is not just tied up into your partner. You need to have other things that add to filling up your cup. Whether that's going to the gym. I like to go bowling. You know, I'm going to go bowling tomorrow. You need other things that help to add to who you are. Even if that's just sleeping. My wife loves to sleep.
Ooh, guess what
I'm going to let her do? Sleep, okay? I'm going to get her a blanket, okay? But you need those things that help edify you as a person, because you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't give from an empty cup. When it's overflowing, that means you have more than enough for yourself to be able to give. And then lastly, what I wish I knew before I got married is that it's a lot of self-work. You know, I tell people all the time too, is that marriage is a giant mirror it will show you all of your imperfections. I mean every last one. And it's up to you to choose to do the work to fix said imperfections. Mm-hmm. And you're not just fixing them for your partner. They are just a byproduct, or a beneficiary of you fixing those issues. You're going to want to fix those issues just for yourself. Because if you're really looking at yourself and you're really doing self-work, you're going to get tired of running into the same issue over and over and over again. Oh, this keeps coming up or that keeps coming up. You know what I'm saying? But marriage is definitely a lot of self-work. But there is a whole lot of joy, happiness, and peace on the other side of that self-work. What are the things that you wish you knew before you got married?
I actually had written down in my notes that marriage is a big reflection of all your insecurities and areas you need to grow, verbatim. So I literally had that written down. So he said it. I'm like, I just didn't want to interrupt you because you was on the road. But like, truly,
we see each other.
Okay. Truly, that was one of the biggest things that I wish I knew. Because you talk about being irritated with somebody. First of all, sorry, I'm perfect. Point out another flaw. Point out another one.
Point.
Okay. But yeah, that was definitely one. Because we've known each other for a very, 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 very long time.
Quite.
We've known each other at this point for half my life.
Definitely.
Literally. For half of my life, we have known each other.
Yeah.
And so,
that's wild.
Yeah, a little bit less than half of you because you're old. But
no domestic violence.
But even in that, like us knowing each other is completely different than us daily cohabitating and seeing each other's flaws. Totally. And like, different. Girl, like, don't tell me nothing about myself because I'll tell you what you can do with that.
Totally different.
One of the things that I wish I knew before we got married was just how quickly it is to feel like roommates. And in that, just how important all the little things, they really do matter, right? Saying thank you, saying I love you, hitting my butt as you walk past me in the kitchen, intentionally holding my hand, in the car or in public. I shouldn't even say that. I don't know. I set myself up for that. But even like, we have dance battles via text message often, right? So like, even we've done that for a very long time. Even before we were like dating. Yes. Like that's been a thing for us. But like even those, like the little things really do matter, because without them, you can quickly feel like roommates.
Definitely.
Quickly feel like roommates, and I didn't realize just how fast I would feel like that. And I felt like that very, very, very early into our marriage.
Quickly.
Because we lived together a month and a half before the wedding.
Definitely. Yeah,
because our lease started in August and we got married in October. And by the time the wedding came around, I literally was like, we have to change something now. Because I was like, I feel like we are roommates.
Also, at the time, we were still paying off stuff for the wedding. So we was going to work and coming home. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. You feel me? Like, that was rough.
Yeah. But, I guess I did learn that right before we got married. But yet and still. The point still remains. Still. But even in that's still something I wish I knew, was just how quickly you would feel like a roommate. That fighting is okay. We come from volatile, for lack of better words, volatile
that's a great
family dynamics between our parents.
For sure.
And so when raised like that, you don't want to fight. Right? Now I'm a confrontational person, but not with the mod. So like,
I'm not a confrontational person.
No, I'm
not a confrontational person
in general. But I am a confrontational person. But when it comes down to fighting with you, it was something that I did my damnedest to avoid.
Same.
Because I never wanted it to be
anything like what we came from.
Anything like what we came from. But even in that, learning how to fight fair. If you watch last week's episode.
Go ahead.
Learning how to fight fair, and even just learning how to that there's a way to fight, and that there are parameters that you can set and take place and put in place so that where you all are not berating one another while arguing. I think you mentioned filling up your own cup, but I also wish I really knew how quickly it is, how quickly you can lose yourself in your partner.
Definitely.
I feel like I had that heavy in like our first year of marriage, and I really don't even know where it came from, but probably just because we were just so enamored with one another, which we still are, right? Like I'm a lot less likely to really leave the house unless like the two of us are going somewhere together. But that's just because, you know, you're my best friend. But like, and then not like, I'm not saying cut your friends off and you ain't hanging out with your friends. That's not what I mean. But just how quickly you just lose yourself in them, right? You lose yourself in their dreams, lose yourself in the things that they want to do, spending time with them, and unintentionally isolating yourself from the things that make you you. And also having how hard it was going to be to refine those things again. And find new things. I wish I knew how, I wish that was talked about more, like beforehand. Like even if you Google things I wish I knew before getting married sooner, that's not really on people's list, right?
No.
And I feel like I really wish that somebody would have told me that. And especially I feel like because I feel like for wives it's a lot easier to do. Because like the whole like submissive thing, and like especially if you have children, and then like that adds into it where like you are consistently serving other people.
Yeah.
That
you don't have time for yourself.
Like I really wish, and I'm still trying to figure out what those things are for me. I still haven't fully found it out. Content is a big outlet for me, so like this, I guess I have found a piece of it. But even still, that's serving other people, and not necessarily serving me still. But it's never anything. So I'm still learning it still, but I still wish I knew that before getting married.
Also, partners, make sure you push for that too. You know, don't allow your spouse or the person you're in a relationship with, to not have things that show their individuality or cast light on that. It is okay for them to stand in the sun too. Yeah.
I often think about This Is Us and the fight that Beth and Randall had. I can't remember what season it was, but whatever season it was, where like their marriage was like on the rocks, and they tried to make us believe that they was gonna get a divorce. They had a very big fight in that where thank you. Child, her name escaped me so fast. I was about to call it Kate, and I said, baby, that's not her name. Where Beth was yelling at Randall because he allowed her, and or sort of pushed for her to give up her dream of dance and like being a dance instructor, and he yelled back and he was like, you are not going to rewrite history. And both parts were very true, actually. But even in that, like, I feel like it can be very easy to get comfortable with someone not doing the things that makes them them, and you may not realize it, but especially like people have kids, and like the one person is standing in the sun, or is traveling for their job a lot, or is just living their dream. You become comfortable with the dynamic of the other person is at home taking care of home. Yeah, because it helps cater to what you're doing. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Even if unintentional, I don't think that that's malicious. For some people, I mean, it can be, but but for most, no. I don't think that it is malicious. One of the other things that I really wish I knew before we got married was how to be prepared for everything to change and nothing at the same time. Definitely. That's big. Like, thank you. Like, truly prepare for everything to change and absolutely nothing at the same time. Because, yes, we are growing and evolving, or should be.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, there are things that will not grow and will not evolve, and that's not necessarily bad, right? Like, for us, we have learned, and I don't even know if I necessarily wish I knew that I learned this before marriage, but just the importance of like the core, maintaining the core of your relationship, and just how important that is, especially during life's curveballs and disagreements and upsets in your marriage, just how important that is. And I feel like for us, our core is laughter, right? Like, if it's, we always say, if it's one thing we're gonna do together, it is laugh, right? Like, the pictures we post on Instagram where we are laughing are genuinely laughing. Like, those are not fake smiles. We
all of the time, head
back, cracking up.
Sick.
Like, if it's one thing we're gonna do is laugh. If it's roasting one another, if it's TV, like if it's TikTok, we're going to be laughing. And so just the knowing, or the importance of making sure that that doesn't change, while everything around us may be evolving and changing right before our eyes, maintaining the core of our relationship and make sure that that doesn't. Also, I also wish that people explained what they meant by saying marriage is hard.
Yes, because most people just say that
and they never give any detail.
No.
And I feel like marriage is hard for a lot of reasons, but I feel like when things are going well, right, without the added pressures of everything, that the hardest thing about being married truly is the daily consideration of the other person. Is the hardest part about marriage is the selflessness needed to have a healthy marriage.
Every day.
Yeah, that is the hard part. And I wish that people explained that to me better, because I always thought that they just hated who they were married to.
Same.
But knowing the true servanthood and submissiveness, and I'm not talking about wives being submissive to their husbands. I'm talking about submitting to one another. Okay? That is the hard part. That is the part that is always going to change, but the act thereof is going to be consistent
every time.
And I wish that people explained that part. Like, that's the part that's hard. Like, from your whole morning routine, and this is not saying that your world revolves around that person, because that's not what I'm saying, but like, the consideration of them is hard. From the moment that you wake up in the morning, right? If I know, I usually try to be up at 5 a.m. most days of the week. That also affects you. We sleep in the same bed. We sleep in the same room, right?
And I'm a light sleeper.
Yes, and he's a very light sleeper. So, like, trying to make sure that, when I close the door in the morning, that it doesn't pop the light off. Like the light doesn't. We have a clapper.
Mind your business.
You didn't even have to go there.
I could help.
We have a clapper light in our room, so like when something hits that wall, or shakes the little sensor thing in it, the light's gonna come on. So sometimes I could cough in the living room and the light can come on. So making sure that I close the bathroom door effectively in the mornings, so that it just closes enough, but not enough to turn the light on, right? Because that's gonna wake him up. And even, cooking breakfast in the morning. If I have time to make sure that we both have breakfast, that simple consideration is, one, still doing the little things, but also a selfless act of making sure he has breakfast because I had the time to make me some.
Yeah.
Or like, it's really doing the laundry, right? Like, my husband doing a lot of the housework for about the past 2-3 months, which is also shows the state of my mental health, but that's neither here nor there. But like, even in that, right? Like, you started laundry yesterday because it's laundry week. Like, just the little things of like being the selfless part is the daily consideration. Like, I don't usually get food without telling you, right? If you want some.
Same.
Because it is still just daily consideration. And that is, it's easy, but it's also hard, right? Because it's just, your life now involves another person, and everything that you do affects them in some way, shape, or form. Also, I feel like another thing, I'll say the last thing I say, but that I wish that I knew before we got married, is that healing as an adult will change your relationship.
That's
Healing as an adult, or the lack thereof, will change your relationship. Because I feel like we were very well aware of family of origin, what our family of origin was, how it affected us as people, how it showed up in our marriage already.
Mm-hmm.
But acknowledging that, and also
growing,
intentionally changing that, are two different things.
Two totally different things.
Two very different things. And you started therapy about how long ago now? At least a year.
At least
a year.
Maybe 2 at this point.
Yeah. And I was pushing for you to go for a while. But part of that was because of the lack of vulnerability. So like when you were talking about that is more to being a provider as a husband than just, you have to do more than that. Than just make sure that the rent is paid. Because I don't want no stone to be unturned, right? Like I need us to comfortably be able to tell each other our fears, comfortably able to tell each other the things that bother us, the things that trigger us, all of that. And I feel like I do that slightly easily with you, but I just started therapy for the first time in my adult life. I've done it before, but not as a grown woman.
Turn up.
Yeah, she cool. She alright right now. But even that healing is needed, and it is the earlier the better. But I also feel like as life continues to happen, that's gonna change it. But yeah, healing will really change your relationship, and it is needed. Yeah, and I wish somebody would have told me to. And I think part of that is because we got married so young. But even having had that work done beforehand would have eliminated a lot of it would have eliminated half the list. The things I wish I knew before getting married. It would have eliminated half the list. But yeah, do you have anything else to add?
I don't.
No?
I don't have anything else to add. That was great.
Thank you. It was good too. Do you have a good highlight for today's episode?
You should definitely come into your relationship with your expectations. I want this in a partner. I want that in a partner. But the saying goes, plans change, but the goal remains the same. So if your goal is marriage, great. But you can do that in whatever way works best for you and your partner. You can change and grow each and every day, and you're going to need that to have a successful, happy, and healthy marriage. And it's possible. It's going to take some work, but it's possible. You have a good highlight?
Plans change, but the goal remains the same. That was good. Good answer.
Thanks, babe.
My hood highlight for today would have to be to not be afraid to acknowledge the things that you wish you knew beforehand. Like not let that be a derailment of having a happy marriage. And having, or do not let that be a derailment of you not doing the work. Right? Because I feel like that can be a lot of overwhelming. Because you can figure out that there are a lot of things that you wish you knew immediately. And that can feel very overwhelming. That can make you feel like you might have made the wrong decision, that you all did it too early, that, you all just were not ready, that maybe you were just, in la la land, stigmatized, whatever the case may be. And that may not be the case, but just being able to regulate your own emotions and realizing that, it's all going to take work, and all of it's not going to necessarily change overnight. And not being afraid to find resources. Because I'm gonna ask for help for our marriage. I mean, I ask for help in most areas of my life, but when it comes down to us being okay, I'm going to seek out resources.
That baby ain't lying. She telling the truth.
Yeah, I'm going to seek out resources for us. Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
This was a good episode.
Oh yeah. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you so much.
There's only 2 episodes left.
2 of them.
2 episodes left in the season, and then we will be on a 10-week break and back in 10 weeks for season 4. Which is crazy.
Wow.
4 seasons of this podcast. If you are not watching on YouTube or you want to watch on YouTube, first of all, thank you to those that do.
Thank you so much.
But you can find Hood Tales on my YouTube channel, Raven Camille TV. Make sure you're following the podcast Instagram page at Hood Tales Podcast on Instagram. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram at _Raven Camille.
And follow me on Instagram and TikTok at _The Gentleman's Groomer.
Make sure to share the podcast with whoever you feel like should need it. Leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts at. Also, hop in the comments and let me know what your hood highlight is of today's episode.
Definitely.
If there's something that is on your wish list of the things that you wish you knew before marriage, let me know. Let me know, yeah. If you have any advice, questions that you want us to tackle anonymously, and or topics that you want us to cover, make sure you email us at hoodtalesadvice@gmail.com. Until next time, y'all. Bye.
See you.